Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of my analysis and comparison of the My Hero Academia manga and anime created by Kohei Horikoshi and animated by Studio Bones. This episode, called What I Can Do For Now, details Midoriya and his classmates' first day at UA, their new teacher, and the results of their first test in class. Several new characters will be introduced today, so you can look forward to that. Deku and some of his old and new classmates take the UA entrance exam, which involves defeating robots acting as villains in several mock cityscapes set up by UA. While Bakugo, Ida, and Uraraka are all doing very well, Deku is not, freezing up before he can even defeat one robot and receiving no points by the halfway mark of the exam. Suddenly, a huge robot begins to wreak havoc in the mock cityscape, trapping Uraraka under rubble and moving forwards to crush her. Deku steps in without thinking, using his newfound quirk to defeat the robot despite it being worth 0 points. Unfortunately, in the process, he ends up destroying his body and does not earn any villain points. Thinking he failed the practical, Midoriya assumes the worst when he gets a letter from UA, but his mentor All Might informs him that, through rescue points earned by saving Uraraka, he has passed the exam and earned a seat at UA. If you'd like to hear more on my analysis of these crucial moments of Deku's growth, go check out my episode 4 video. It is linked in the description. I have no rights to the anime or the manga. All rights belong to Horikoshi and the animation studios and teams who helped him animate and develop the My Hero Academia universe. Consider picking up the manga or watching the anime, and please don't sue me. For reference, episode 5 of the anime encompasses both the chapters Smashing into Academia and What I Can Do For Now. Please enjoy my retelling and analysis of the events of these chapters. This chapter begins back at the UA judge panel, where the judges are looking over the final scores of the entrance exam. They are commenting on the performance of some of the qualifiers, including Bakugo's standout villain point score of 77 and Deku's rescue score of 60. Aizawa, an important teacher at UA, is first shown in this scene and looks skeptical about Deku. All Might and Deku meet on the now clean beach where he trained for 10 months, where All Might congratulates him on getting into UA. He also tells Midoriya more about why he wanted to take the teaching job at UA in the first place, attributing his interest in the position to wanting to find a powerful successor in one of the students. Midoriya talks to him about how he still can't wield One for All, but All Might assures him that his body will be tempered with training and experience, and that he will be able to wield One for All after some time. He finishes their encounter by telling Deku that as Deku's power strengthens, All Might's power will weaken, and eventually he will end up quirkless. Izuku leaves his home and heads to UA, where he enters Class 1A for the first time, hoping that Bakugo and Ida are not in the same class. His hopes are quickly dashed when the first thing he sees are Bakugo and Ida arguing over Bakugo having his feet on a desk. Bakugo quickly scares Ida off, though, before Ida goes to apologize to Deku for misjudging him before the entrance exam, and stating that Midoriya was the only one to understand the true underlying meaning of the practical. Bakugo, in the background, seems irked to see Midoriya there. Uraraka pops in a moment later, already recognizing Deku and saying that she's glad that he got in, though Deku simply says that he has to thank her for stepping in on his behalf. In the meantime, Bakugo seems to be flashing back to some of their last classes in middle school after the entrance exam. Bakugo and Midoriya are seen standing together in front of their teacher, who is remarking that it was amazing that both of them got into UA, and that he can't believe Midoriya actually did it. The scene shifts to the outside of the school, where Bakugo has Deku pinned to the wall, asking him how exactly he pulled it off. He continues on to berate Midoriya, saying that he wanted to be the only one from their middle school to get into UA, and that Deku ruined that. Deku suddenly lurches forward, grabbing Bakugo's arm, and begins to yell back at him, saying that someone told him that he could be a hero, and because of that, he's not going to give up. Bakugo seems shocked that Deku stood up to him, as Midoriya continues on, saying that he has earned this privilege. The flashback ends, the scene shifting back to the classroom where Bakugo remarks that something seems off about this whole situation, watching Deku melt into a blushing mess in front of Uraraka. Uraraka is startled from her conversation with Deku by a figure laying on the ground in a beanbag. He immediately tells her to stop socializing and that it's a waste of precious time, standing out of the beanbag to speak with them. He introduces himself as Shota Aizawa and hands out gym uniforms to everyone, directing them to go outside to the grounds instead of preparing for orientation. In the background, All Might does research on the teaching practices and faculty of UA to see what Midoriya will have to endure on his first day. Aizawa begins to introduce the parameters of the following test to them. They are simple gym tests, including softball throwing, the standing long jump, the 50-meter dash, endurance running, grip strength, side-to-side stepping, upper body training, and the seated toe touch. However, the students will be allowed to use their quirks to enhance their results, which is still not allowed in standardized testing in middle school. Bakugo starts off by crushing his quirkless 67-meter record for the softball throw with a result of 705.2 meters with his quirk. The other students immediately seem excited to have free use of their quirk, while Midoriya feels anxious since a simple softball throw could leave him with a shattered arm. However, Aizawa quickly turns this excitement into fear when he reveals that the one with the lowest score will be expelled from UA. In the background, All Might comments that Aizawa will be nothing but trouble due to him having expelled 154 students over his time teaching. The class sizes are 18 kids. If he solely expels 1A students, that means he would have expelled 8.5 full 1A classes. Some students suddenly seem apprehensive, while others smile confidently. Uraraka protests that such a thing on the first day simply isn't fair, with Aizawa immediately shutting her down by saying that the world isn't fair, but heroes are the one that make it correct, and that if the students were hoping to simply coast through UA, that won't be the case. The students immediately begin to brace themselves for the coming challenges. Ida and Tsuyu Asuri race first, Ida beating her by a good bit using his engine quirk. Next, Uraraka races Mashiro Ojiro and ends up losing to him due to his more versatile tail quirk. Third, Mina Ashido and Yuga Aoyama race next, Mina able to beat him by using her acid quirk. Finally, Bakugo and Deku race against each other, with Bakugo propelling himself forwards with his explosions. Deku is nearly blown back by Bakugo's quirk, but makes it across just by running. Deku stresses about using his quirk, knowing he will naturally fall behind due to only having one use before his body is wrecked. Midoriya thinks back to a moment between him and All Might, where All Might gives him advice about managing One For All. Midoriya compares the sensation of using One For All to an egg about to explode in a microwave. All Might simply tells him to turn down the wattage or adjust the time to stop the egg from exploding, and just picture that image while trying to use One For All. Deku considers this advice as he performs the grip strength test without using his quirk. Mezo Shoji, another 1A student, attempts the same test using his quirk of having several almost wing-like arms and gets a result of 540 kilograms. In the third event, standing long jump, both Bakugo and Aoyama propel themselves past Deku, while Deku only manages to go a small distance. In the fourth event, sidestepping, Minoru Mineta uses his grape-like quirk to make cushions for his body that bounce him back and forth rapidly, while Deku again performs without his quirk. On the fifth event, throwing, Uraraka is able to float a ball to infinity. Deku knows that all the students have at least one outstanding score, and at this rate, he will be the one expelled. Some students comment that Deku hasn't been doing well, and Bakugo says that they're stupid for thinking he would with no quirk. Ida seems confused, asking Bakugo if he had seen Midoriya's feats in the entrance exam, which Bakugo seems confused about. Deku steps up onto the field holding the ball, preparing to use his quirk, shooting power into his arm and launching the ball forwards. Suddenly, he has stopped, launching the ball, but his quirk has no effect and is seemingly not there anymore. He turns in shock to see Aizawa using his quirk Erasure to completely nullify Deku's quirk. Deku immediately recognizes Aizawa after he uses his quirk, realizing that he is the hero Eraserhead. Aizawa says that it was irrational that Deku was allowed in with a quirk that quickly renders him useless with only one punch. All Might peeks out behind the UA building and watches, commenting that Eraserhead hates the public eye and that All Might and him rarely see eye to eye. Aizawa says that, due to the dangerous nature of his quirk, Deku can never become a hero with that power. The other students don't hear what Aizawa says, but assume Deku got some sort of advice, while Deku mutters to himself, knowing he can't yet regulate One For All. Aizawa says that he has no chance, and Deku agrees, knowing he can't control the power, but instead, he simply propels it into one part of his body. He throws using 100% of One For All, but focuses all the power on the last point of contact with the ball, his fingertip, saying that this is what he can do for now as he launches the ball high into the sky. His finger is visibly wounded all the way to his knuckle, but it's not fully broken, and he can still move it. Bakugo seems shocked, while Aizawa seems happily surprised. Midoriya turning to Aizawa with a determined grin, announcing that he can still move. He was able to launch the ball 705.3 meters, 0.1 meter farther than Bakugo. All Might in the background says that he was worried about Deku for a moment, but comments that it was super amazing that he was able to use the power without crippling a limb. The episode concludes here. We will have to see what further developments Deku and the rest of the students have in the next segment. For now, let's get on to the analysis. No important discrepancies this time. There's a first time for everything. What I will add is that this episode lined up almost exactly with the manga, so it's clear Horikoshi valued its events highly. The first part of the character analysis will focus on the general performance of the students during the test, referencing the entrance exam scoreboard as well as the in-class test results from this episode. The test posed by Aizawa includes simple gym tests, including softball throwing, the standing long jump, the 50-meter dash, endurance running, grip strength, side-to-side stepping, upper body training, and the seated toe touch. Bakugo demonstrates the softball throw, getting a result of 705.2 meters. Several 1A classmen are shown performing these tests, but some stand out and dominate. Ida dominates the 50-meter dash with his quirk engine with a time of 3.04 seconds. Bakugo coming in second with a time of 4.13 seconds using his explosion quirk. Ojiro comes in third with a time of 5.49 seconds using his tail quirk. Mina appears to be Aoyama in the race, so she likely comes fourth, with Aoyama coming in fifth with a time of 5.51 seconds using his naval laser quirk. Suyu Asui coming in sixth with her frog-like quirk at 5.58 seconds. Deku coming in seventh with a time of 7.02 seconds without using his quirk, and Uraraka coming in eighth with a time of 7.15 seconds using her quirk, Zero Gravity. In the second, third, and fourth events, I am making the assumption that Horikoshi picked out the students with the best results to draw, other than Deku, of course. If this assumption is true, Shoji, the octopus-looking guy, had the best score in the second event, grip strength, with a result of 540 kilograms compared to Deku's measly 56 kilograms. Bakugo and Aoyama are both shown outperforming Deku at the third event, standing long jump, and Mineta likely dominates the performance of the fourth event, side-to-side stepping, using his grape-like quirk. On the fifth event, softball throwing, Uraraka gets the best possible score of infinity using her Zero Gravity quirk. Deku was able to beat Bakugo's score on this event by a hair, throwing the softball 705.3 meters. The overall rankings after the fifth test show that Bakugo came in third, Ida in fourth, Uraraka in 10th, and Midoriya in 20th. The other characters on this chart will be introduced more in the next episode, but for now, let's focus in on Deku and his friends. Deku is congratulated by All Might for passing the exam and learns All Might's true motivations, that he had taken the teaching job at UA in hopes of finding a strong successor. Deku leaves his home to head to UA for the first day of class and sees that Bakugo, Ida, and Uraraka are also in his class. Ida apologizes for the way he acted towards Midoriya during the entrance exam, and unnecessarily concedes that Deku is the better student, which Midoriya denies. Uraraka bursts in and seems glad to see Deku, unlike Bakugo, who loathes the fact that Deku got into UA. After Aizawa is introduced, everyone heads down to the field to begin the test. The rest of the students all seem to be performing well using their quirks, while Deku is unable to use his due to the risk of badly hurting himself. He thinks back on All Might's advice about picturing the quirk as something he can alter and regulate, like changing the time or intensity on a microwave. When he steels himself to use his quirk on the fifth event, softball throwing, he surges power into his right arm to throw, but his quirk is deactivated by Aizawa's erasure. After Aizawa scolds him about his reckless use of his power in their entrance exam and tells him that he cannot be a hero due to his power rendering him useless, Midoriya has to adapt. Instead of surging power into his arm, he's able to focus all of it into his fingertip to launch the ball at the very last second and avoid badly harming himself. In doing this, he impresses both Aizawa and All Might, and shocks Bakugo. I think Midoriya's resourcefulness in subjecting only a small amount of his body to the force of One for All speaks to his intelligence. Years of studying heroes, All Might especially, has allowed him to utilize tactics other blossoming students may not have thought of and allows him to earn Aizawa's approval and remain in the class. His 10 months of training also clearly paid off due to him improving on all of his test times from middle school, and also standing up to Bakugo, showing that he has gained both physical and mental fortitude. However, in such a blatant display of power, he also reveals to Bakugo that he does have a quirk. Bakugo seems his usual self at the beginning of this episode, already harassing Ida and being a nuisance in general. However, when he sees Deku, he seems to grow contemplative and think back to the last days of middle school when his teacher had been congratulating both Deku and Bakugo for getting into UA. Bakugo seems to have dragged Deku to the back of the school after this meeting and has pinned him to the wall, demanding to know how he got into UA. He's clearly pissed that Deku got into what Bakugo perceives as his school, and says that he thought he told him to go somewhere else. Suddenly, though, Deku grabs him and says that someone told him that he could become a hero, so he is going to, and that he earned the honor of getting into UA. The scene flashes back to the present time in the classroom, and Bakugo appears irked that Deku stood up to him, which seemingly isn't typical. During the testing, Bakugo seems to do well in most of the events, getting an overall third-place score, but is keeping a close eye on Deku for many of the events. On the fifth event, when Deku steps onto the pitch, he simply remarks that there is no chance for him due to him being quirkless. Ida seems shocked that Bakugo doesn't know about his feats during the entrance exam, in which Bakugo seems confused. When Aizawa interrupts Deku, Bakugo remarks that he probably stopped him to tell him to pack his bags. After Deku launches the ball into the air, he beats Bakugo's own score, though Bakugo is likely more focused on the fact that Deku does indeed have a quirk despite not having one his entire childhood. There will be more on Bakugo's reaction to this in the next episode, and trust me, it will be volatile. For now, though, that is the end of this segment. Thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed my retelling and analysis of this Smashing into Academia and What I Can Do for Now chapters. I hope you're able to form your own opinions from my analysis, and if you have anything to add, I'd love to see your ideas in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, consider leaving a like and subscribing for more videos like this one. Here are some bloopers. Their new teacher, and the results of their first class in their first class in test? Bro, okay. Unfortunately, in the process, he ends up to Bro, I just spit everywhere, oh my god. He also tells Midoriya more- okay. This is trash. I need to change this. I might just stop the recording, because this is actually- okay. Just so bad. It's so bad, man! Oh my- However, at UA, the student- okay. I really tried to fix it, man. Like, I really tried to puzzle out a solution, and I just can't do it, man. This chapter begins back at the UA judge panel, where the judges are looking over the final scores. They are commenting on the performance- okay, wait. No, I need to explain that. This is from the entrance exam. Okay. He finishes their encounter by telling Deku that his The other students immediately seem excited to have free use of their quirk, while Midoriya feels anxious. Ancient? Bro. Second, Uraraka races Mashiro. I need to Google this. There's no way I am going to pronounce that right. Mashiro. Third, Mina and Ashida. They're the same person, bro. Not Mina and Ashida, bro. Okay. But Deku considers this advice as he- oh my god, like, am I drunk? Like, why am I slurring my words? Oh my god. In the third event, standing long jump, both Bakugo and Monoma propel themselves past Deku. Not Monoma. Monoma isn't here! What? Aoyama. I think Aoyama- oh my god. See, this is actually an issue I have. I thought Aoyama was in Class 1B. I really thought, like, him and Monoma were the same person. I know they're not now. Like, they don't even really look that similar. But it's just, like, they're both blonde. Okay. The episode continued... The episode... oh my god. Why? What is my problem this morning? Like, that's what I feel like I'm doing. I feel like I'm choking on my own throat. Ojiro comes in third with a time of 4.4. No, why did I do- oh my god! I can't! I'm not dyslexic, bro. I'm literally not. But why can I not say 5.49 seconds? I always say 4.59. It's just not right. Oh my god. Ojiro comes in third with a time of 5.49 seconds using his tail quirk. Mina appearing to beat what? Mina appearing to beat Aoyama in the race, so she likely I need to take a lap or something. Like, this is bad. And Uraraka coming in 8th with a time of 7.15. I'm actually gonna cry, bro. Like, I did this entire voiceover already, and then I accidentally deleted it all, and I can't get it back, so this is my second time doing this, and it's worse than the first time. Like, what? Deku is able to beat Bakugo's score on this event by a hair, throwing the softball 705 points. See, I almost said 507. I almost said it, and I can't just keep going on, because it's gonna sound stupid if I say 5-7. Deku is congratulated by All Might for passing the exam and learns All Might True's motivation. Like, what? True's? No. No, man. Bakugo seems his usual self at the beginning of that. Like, oh my god, I'm gonna throw myself at the window. I'm on the first story, so it would be pretty pathetic, but I am going to do it because this is actually terrible. This is really bad. Like, I don't think I've had a voiceover this bad in a while. Suddenly, though, Deku grabs him and says that someone told him that he could be there will be more on Bakugo's reaction to this in the next episode.